This is Rudo Radio coming to you from the 559.
Hello and welcome to Rudo Radio, SB Nation and Cage Side Seats, weekly wrestling podcast. My name is Nick Bond. I am joined, as ever, by Mr. Marc Normandin. Mark, how are you?
I really thought you forgot your name for a second there. Just like, there was a slight hesitation where you're like, wait, who am I? You had the where am I, but...
I realized that last week and possibly the week before I forgot to mention my name, so I wanted to make sure I nailed it this time by mentioning my name in the intro of my show.
Yeah, you did forget your name the last 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
I don't listen until you say my name, honestly. I just kind of drift.
I hadn't noticed,
it's a lot
and
like,
neither had the listeners.
It's a lot like when I was in class back in the day, and I would just wait until I heard my name. Which really screwed me up sometimes because, my name is also a word. So sometimes when I'd really zone out and someone would use my name, the word version of my name, I kind of snapped to attention to the point where it was noticeable that I hadn't been paying attention before that.
Let me mark the whoa.
And be like, whoa, yeah, the answer is... It's like there was no question. You played yourself.
Your name is a verb, bro.
So, wrestling.
Big weekend, huge weekend.
You don't have to put big in front of it. We all know it's the weekend.
Some would say it's the biggest weekend of the year. Some would say. Some people are saying it's going to be huge.
They're wrong. The biggest weekend is obviously WrestleMania weekend.
I've never heard of WrestleMania. I've never said WrestleMania.
Those people are wrong, Nick. They're bad and they are wrong. They just don't like paying the extra $10 to order WrestleMania on pay-per-view. Which I understand, but people, sign up for the network. It's fine.
And I will say this. This usually, in my experience, is the best show to get casual people at a giant party for wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Royal Rumble match is so easy to watch. Like, they throw guys over the top rope. That's it. Oh, okay. Cool.
The only reason we're not doing a party this year is because, we have the newborn. So, we have one friend coming over. That's it. Because normally we do a party and there's, food and drinks and we all play everyone gets numbers assigned to them and, you win a prize if your number wins the Rumble and all that. But not so much this year.
Wait. You're married and you have friends? That must be really nice.
Wow. Can't remember his name. Doesn't have any friends.
God. Yay! No, I love my wife. I love you, sweetheart. Yeah, so I also personally enjoy this more than WrestleMania. WrestleMania has a tendency to be very, I don't want to sound like one of those guys, but very centered and pointed towards more casual fans, but in a way that's, annoying. Like, this one, you get the cool comebacks and stuff like that, but it's usually a crowd that is smarky and a crowd that is willing to tell you how they feel or don't feel about something, and I think that will lead them to book things sometimes slightly differently. Other times, it's just Philadelphia, and everyone's booing, and even The Rock's like, whoa, what's with all the boos?
Man, you're bringing me back to that year. Hey, but you know what? That reminds me, it's cool that we're, the Rumble is in 4 days from when you'll listen to this. We don't know who's going to win, which is pretty great. And we can get to that later, but, there's no big return guy like Batista. Because, Goldberg is obviously going to face Lesnar, at WrestleMania. The intrigue is there for, the story's going to advance for them in the Rumble somehow, but it doesn't feel like either of them are actually going to win. But there's no big return like Batista. Triple H isn't inserting himself into the match in any way, especially since the guy he will feud against most likely is not even in the Rumble match. And Roman Reigns is already in a title match that night. John Cena is already in a title match that night. Like, there's going to be... We don't know who's going to win, and the last 4 Rumble winners aren't going to win.
Yeah, it's a rare time when they will always say, like, oh, anything can happen at the Royal Rumble, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. In reality, you know almost every year who's going to win, or the top, like, 3 or 4 guys. Like, the year Sheamus won was a weird one, and I think the year that Alberto Del Rio won was a weird one. But outside of that, they're really not that unpredictable beyond, like, who's going to get thrown out when. Usually have a pretty good idea of the person or people that are going to win. This one, there's, like, 7 guys that have a chance to win. And I'd also wonder, and we'll get to this later, how the match results will affect who ends up in the actual Royal Rumble match. Because I don't know how that's going to work. If you're just out of the Rumble, if you're in a championship match. Okay.
I mean, the Rumble might go on last given the length of the show.
I would assume it's going on last. And I'm wondering if, like, Roman Reigns loses, can he enter the Royal Rumble? And would they do that? Are like 2 things that I'm interested in seeing, because it varies from year to year.
Well, we're going to preview the Rumble today, and it will help work through our own ideas of this, because we're going to start at the beginning of the card and work our way up to the Rumble match. So at least we got some time to sort through our thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. Like with the Raw tag team match, like I think Sheamus and Cesaro are already, and they'll be facing the Club, or what's left of the Club without AJ Styles, in Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, for the title, after they did the, like, hey, we beat you, but we didn't really... They gave a heel a dusty finish for no reason. They gave heels dusty finishes, and then went like, oh, it'll be great. It'll work out. It'll come out in the wash, and it really hasn't. Like, they're good.
I'm still annoyed about that.
They're good. Like, but this should be a better feud. This should feel like the Road Warriors versus, like, Tully Blanchard, or not the Anderson brothers or something like that. And it doesn't. It feels like generic heel tag team versus generic face heel alignment tag. That one's weird. Like, Sheamus and Cesaro, I don't even dislike, but their chemistry it doesn't fit with Gallows and Anderson.
Oh, God, they need a credible opponent for Sheamus and Cesaro, which, hey, doesn't exist because the New Day had the titles too long. And Anderson Gallows, man, they need some new direction or something, because
they need to get traded to a different show.
I don't even know if going to SmackDown's going to fix it. It's not SmackDown's tag division. As great as SmackDown has been, their tag division has kind of fallen apart. Like, it was a really strong part of the show early. But now, like, they've put the titles on American Alpha, who half of our listeners probably just went, wait, American Alpha has the titles? Because what? Like, they haven't done anything since they've won. I don't know. It's like they made up for the injury of Zack Ryder by giving the titles to American Alpha, who are going to win the titles eventually. And granted, yeah, there's a lot of injury problems there, like the Usos and Ryder and some other things, and you've got other stories to tell with the Wyatts that they are telling and telling successfully. But man, it's not... I don't think that's something that just a switch of shows could fix. It feels like the easy solution is when Finn Balor comes back, if he eventually becomes that, you form Balor Club, and those are his guys, and then everyone's profile has risen. I just don't know if on their own, on such a large show, where there are a bunch of other, talented white dudes with beards, like, are they going to fit in the same way that you hope? Because the thing that excited everyone about them coming here was honestly like, oh, some form of the Bullet Club / Balor Club is going to exist. And it just hasn't yet. For good reasons, but man, it's hurting them.
Do you even really care who wins this match? To be, like, just point blank about it? Because I don't. It does not make a difference to me who wins this match. I'm not even saying I'm not looking forward to the match. I just don't have any emotional investment in it whatsoever.
I don't. It feels like once Sheamus and Cesaro won the titles, they stopped trying to make us care about them.
Exactly. That's exactly what it feels like. On both the titles and Cesaro and Sheamus.
So, I don't know. It's what I don't really care who wins now. I think they'll put on a good match. I think Well, I should say, too, it's so obvious what's going to happen and why this... It's even more obvious because it's on the pre-show. They have 2 referees. The referees are going to come to different conclusions about who won this match. So, like, this match already doesn't... It hasn't even started and it doesn't matter.
You don't seem bitter about that at all.
Oh, God, it's just... I mean,
I think you've scoffed and sighed at least 4 times during this one match.
They're going to resolve it in Fastlane, and that's cool, but yeah, like, I'm not excited about it. I'm sure, they'll all do, like, cool stuff, and the match will be fine, but it won't be a match I remember, I'm sure, for, by the time the show's over.
But at the same time, I weirdly think, although it's not actually on the card, it could end up being a great match. It's very weird, like, because they're all so talented, but I just don't care. Like, I just don't. So who do you have them winning some sort of, like, screwball finish? Like,
both teams will be declared the victor, or, like, by one ref or another, and then, I don't know, they'll fight 4 more times until Fastlane.
I don't know if you can see me, but I'm pretending to be the ref holding up the hands of both.
No, there's 2 refs, so you don't need to hold up.
And then my clone is doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't.
So.
Looks awesome. I should suggest getting a clone. And then the other kickoff match, which I'm slightly more excited about, but I'm also kind of worried that it's a kickoff match, is Nia versus Sasha.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see this match, because we've had so much brawling, but not as much wrestling between the two. And Sasha started to be, get the upper hand and be smart about taking her out. It is a shame that it's on the pre-show. I'm not sure if that means anything about the quality of the match or the length of the match or what, but I mean, it might mean they're saving the bigger thing for later. Like, are we going to get Sasha versus Nia on the main card at Mania? Or, so they're just like slowly, they're kind of, IV dripping this to us very slowly at first. I don't know.
I'll ask the same question about this match that I asked about the first match, which is, do you actually care who wins? Because I think I don't care, but in a way that's different than the other match, where I don't care who wins because I think it won't hurt anybody, and either way they can pull an interesting storyline out of it, but I don't have a specific... It's not like I really want to see Sasha get back at Nia. Like, I really like Nia beating the crap out of people, too.
Yeah, I care, because I want to see where this story goes. I definitely care about this.
I should say I do care about the outcome. I don't care who wins, would be a better way to I have no eggs in either basket. I think either one would be equally cool storylines you could do coming out of this match.
Yeah, they're in a good place for that, which is part of why I'm disappointed that it's on the pre-show. Is like, you could have Sasha win, whether it's, I mean, probably not like a dominating effort, but if she manages to trick Nia into losing somehow or another, like getting her counted out or, surprising her with a roll-up or a submission, just something quick where Nia can go like, hey, I deserve another chance. That'd be fine. If Nia just obliterates Sasha because she doesn't realize what she's getting into actually being in the ring with her, that would also be great. So yeah, I don't care so long as they follow through on like the logical things that lead to the next step.
Which is exactly where you want to be with a match like this. It's not for a title. Like, it is a low-stakes match with a lot of different options. And I like those. You and I talked about this beforehand, and this is the next match we'll be talking about, but I thought this should be on the main card in place of the 6-woman tag that's on the main card. And I thought it was interesting that you actually want... the 6-woman tag is Becky, Nikki, and Naomi versus Alexa, Mickey, and Natalya. So I get why they're having this match. It's like a good WrestleMania, or in this case, Royal Rumble paycheck match. But I feel like you could have put Sasha and Nia on there, though I guess at the same time you don't want to have 2 Raw matches on the main card and only one on and then have the SmackDown card, the SmackDown match be relegated to the pre-show card.
It would be ridiculous, especially since SmackDown's women's division has been so much better to do that. There are so many stories being played out here that they can really further in this match, and I think it's going to matter more because you're letting Nikki and Natalya actually get in the ring with each other, and how's that going to happen? Are they going to be so focused on just murdering the other one that it helps or hurts their team in certain ways? You've got Mickie James being reintroduced to this larger audience. Because not everyone who watches Raw watches SmackDown and vice versa. But you get to see her in actual ring action, not as La Luchadora, not in that, her like street clothes getup that she was in on Tuesday.
Her hardcore country getup?
Yeah.
Hardcore country.
You'll get a brief glimpse, I'm sure, of Naomi versus Alexa Bliss, which seems to be the next title feud that's happening on SmackDown. So this match feels like it's...
Two thumbs way out.
Yeah, I'm all for that. And this match helps with what SmackDown is clearly pointing to, which is a huge elimination chamber for the women's division. They've got 3 separate feuds already built in to the SmackDown's women's division right now. SmackDown does, 6 matches a card, usually? On their exclusive pay-per-views, and this one's going to have an elimination chamber match that's probably going to be 45 minutes or whatever long, possibly an hour. So the women are going to be half of the matches on the card if they make a match for all of them at elimination chamber, or they're building to their own women's match that's got all the whole division in it except for Carmella and Eva Marie. That will also take up a huge chunk of the card. So either way, they're going to be this massive part of that show. And that's pretty cool, and I think it would be a shame to relegate that to the pre-show and just really make it like a SmackDown exclusive thing, even at the Rumble when it's supposed to be mixed. I think that's more important than just Nia versus Sasha, which has been ongoing for a while and is nowhere close to finishing, when you have this opportunity to further 3 stories in one go.
Yeah, and that's fair. When you first said it, when we were first talking about it, it's like, oh, okay. But now that you've really explained it, I definitely agree with that. That it... And I also didn't take into account the 2 shows having to be more even. I didn't take into account, there's already a Raw Women's title match on the show. It'd be really bad to be like, you're so unimportant. Your entire division doesn't make the main show. I also think if you're going to have a 17-hour show, you can figure out a way to have, 3 women's matches on it, but that's a whole different...
Well, technically they do, but... Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So I'm glad, it's disappointing SmackDown didn't have a women's match this week, for example. But they had 4 segments with the women, and even had them interacting with each other. Naomi and Natalya were supposed to wrestle each other. So then Nikki attacks Natalya backstage to get back at her for Nikki being attacked earlier by Natalya. And... the reaction to that is we get Alexa Bliss and Naomi together, because Naomi's like, whoa, I didn't, work my way back from whatever so that I could be stood up in the ring here. It's just really good how it's all interlocking, and it's, SmackDown is just that cohesive universe instead of, the only women in the building when Sasha and Charlotte and Bayley are around. Or Sasha, Charlotte.
Literally anybody that works backstage that is a woman, they just said, they're like, listen, we don't want...
Yeah.
Only these people.
So it's nice that all that's happening. Maurice got herself involved in the lumberjack match repeatedly. SmackDown's doing such a better job of all this stuff. And I know there are people who disagree about that because they're like, they're telling the stories in different ways. And, that Raw has the stars. And it's like, okay, Raw has the stars today, but that's because they took the people the work had already been done for. SmackDown is building to the point where, they're going to be the ones with the people everyone really cares about. Especially when all the matchups are fresh and the stories are new, and also you get them, focused on constantly.
Yeah, even the Carmella segment, which I could not stand, I couldn't physically sit through, was still, an effort being made. Do you know what I'm saying? They really they went to a place and shot B-roll, not B-roll, they shot stuff, that's all I can ask for from a show. Is just and we talked about this way back when it first did the brand split and they went to Heath's double wide or a single wide
at the time,
and they did that, and though I didn't love it, it wasn't necessarily my sense of humor. There were little jokes in there that I liked, and more importantly, they put the effort in. They hired actors and did things, and it was noticeable. They do a good job on SmackDown of kind of trying every single segment. Not that Raw doesn't, but you can see they show their work on SmackDown way better than they do on Raw.
I agree with all that, but there are 3 things that I liked from the Carmella Ellsworth segment. So
I didn't see it, so just tell me.
Well, I will help you out. So Carmella keeps telling him to lose the pants or take his shirt off and get a new shirt, but she won't let him do it anywhere near her. She's just like, no, go back there to the dressing room. Go do it there. So it's just more evidence of where she's like, she's using him to help her with her ring career, but for the love of God, don't be near her like when you have no shirt on or anything.
Speaking of which, that was the one part I did see, which was when she was like, you need to get you a new shirt and pants. And they just pan down and he's just in his gear. Like, it's not weird. It's just, it's one of those, what do these people wear in real life kind of things. Fanny packs. There was no fanny pack, which I thought was completely unrealistic.
I love that he couldn't properly wear a turtleneck because his chin was not there to stop it. I really appreciated that because it's like, they've done so many good chin jokes that one that was unspoken. Just the chin gags, the visual gags, are still great. So keep on with that.
Kate, whenever she sees him, is just like, is there something wrong with him? Like, because the way he scrunches up his face, it looks like he looks like the bottom of a leak. Like, I don't know how else to describe. Sorry.
The other thing I really liked was not actually in the segment, but now that the way he's dressed, where he just looks like Jersey, I keep calling him Jersified Jimmy.
I like that. Jersified Jimmy, or it would probably be shortened to Jersey Jimmy, and then Jimmy Jers.
Jimmy Jers. But yeah, he definitely looks like he tried out for Jersey Shore at some point. They were like, no, brah, brah.
Need a chin, brah.
So I'm happy with all that, as goofy and weird as it was. And like, yes, I would have preferred a women's match on the card instead of that, but at least like that wasn't the women's segment. You know? Yes,
exactly. That's the other huge thing. Is it's one of like 3 or 4 women's segments on the show, and it's one that they put effort in, they wrote, they acted in. Like, it's not just them doing a backstage segment where they like made the backstage look like a place to buy clothes or something like that. They were like, no, we'll actually send somebody outside with a camera. It was, that's how Carmella got started, in those vignettes where E and Cass come to
lost her job at the hair salon because of that.
Lost her job at the hair salon because they accidentally did the hair removal cream on the poodle. It was classic, and by classic I mean okay.
Okay, what else is up?
So what, you're done talking about this? Oh, who do you think is going to win the 6-woman?
Man, it barely matters. I think as long as no one who is in a connected story pins someone else in their story, or fairly, you know? It feels like the kind of match that's just going to break down. So I'm not really sure if we're going to have a winner in this one, or if it's just like everything's going to lose it when Nikki's trying to like throttle Natalya on the outside, and Mickie James and Alexa Bliss are just like beating Becky Lynch up together, and Naomi keeps trying to pull them off because she wants Alexa. So
I have a feeling it's going to be Mickie James and Alexa Bliss screwing over Natalya, and she just gets forearmed straight to hell. Like, that's what I think is going to happen. I definitely think the faces win. Everything else is going to be like, I think Flair's going to, I think Charlotte's going to win. I think Neville's going to win. I think Owens or Reigns, it doesn't matter because they're both heels.
You're just speeding through the card. What the hell just happened?
But what I'm saying is I think it's going to be a very heel-centric card, so I think this will be the one match that they give. No one listens for my predictions. I'm always wrong.
That's true. I'm not even listening right now. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely think that this is the one match where the faces win, and it'd be the match I'd be most surprised if my prediction was wrong. But I don't think it's a lock, because it's the WWE, so shrug emoji.
All right, so now we can move on to the next thing.
Yeah, now that we've done the most important part of the show, which is the predictions for the curtain jerker. The next match is the Cruiserweight title match between Rich Swann and God. Neville.
I was going to say, give him his proper title. King of the Cruiserweights, a.k.a. God.
He is... If he doesn't win this match, I quit watching wrestling.
No, I just quit watching 205 Live. But
yes, that's fair.
Which is easy, because I haven't really been keeping up with it anyway.
You and literally everyone else.
Yeah. It's almost like you shouldn't put it on after SmackDown and replace a popular show that other people are already watching, and then put Shane McMahon on that show to make it worse. But what do I know about things that I like to watch?
Here comes the money. That's how the song goes, right?
We should get his Meet the Press fucking ass off the show.
Meet the Press fucking ass. I like that. That's his new nickname.
It's too long.
And I'm actually excited for this match. I think Rich Swann's great. I think he's fantastic, especially in this feud. I think his jokes about Neville are weird because, like, he keeps calling him, like, different members of the court, but not king. Like, is he going to call him, like, Viceroy soon? Like, I don't know where this leads.
Baron Neville.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it keeps on just thinking of new members to call him. But I think in ring, this is the best feud. Honestly, I think it's the best feud Neville's ever had.
I mean, the only downside to this match and this feud and Neville winning is that he's going to make a throne out of the bones of all of his opponents, and then there won't be any cruiserweights left.
No, they'll find new ones. They'll have a new Cruiserweight Classic, and what that actually is, it'll be one of those things where you think the tournament's about one thing, and at the end, it turns out it's about a completely different thing, and they'll literally just eat all of them.
I also forgot that Lucha Underground already made a throne out of the bones of a fallen opponent, so... Oh, that's actually probably even more reason that WWE would do it. Because
yeah, I was going to say, Simpsons Did It is actually on the whiteboard in the WWE headquarters.
Well, now, where did the Bollywood boys go? Someone just points to Neville's Bone Throne. Also, Bone Throne.
Yeah, I definitely... this, I think, will be... This or Flair, Charlotte, Bayley, I think, will be the match of the night. No, actually, I take that back. I'm insane. AJ Styles, John Cena will be the match of the night.
I was just about to scream at you.
So, like, I forgot about that, totally. Yeah. No, of the matches that aren't two of the greatest wrestlers of all time in their, like, actual primes wrestling, I think this has a chance to be the best match and a real coming out party for Neville, where he just obliterates a really, really worthy opponent as a monster heel.
I am very excited for his run as, like, the Jericho of the Cruiserweight division, where he's just capable of doing so much more than the other people because he's just a little bit bigger and stronger.
Yeah, he's almost, like, heavyweight size, but still has the agility of someone who is a cruiserweight. Like, he probably, they weigh at him at, like, 205. In reality, he's like 230. Like, there's no way you could have that much muscle.
He's in the 190s. He's like the same weight.
That's insane.
Because he's like 5'4".
I guess, but his head is the only part of his body that isn't made completely of muscle.
You think that, but you haven't watched him flex his face.
That's true. You're totally right.
So I wrote, just to give an indication of how far ahead of the rest of the division I feel like Neville is, I wrote this piece about 5 Kurt Angle dream matches. Emphasis is on, like, Kurt Angle might never wrestle again because, you know, lots of reasons, but if he did, these are the people I'd like to see him wrestle. And Neville was on that list of 5 people, because just picturing Neville running circles and flipping around a dude who's trying to technically wrestle him to death is just so beautiful. And I'd like, need it to happen. Almost like Styles Angle or Cena Angle in a really important moment.
And all of those matches have A, been done before, and B, aren't, like, unique spectacles in the way that Neville versus, like, maybe physically the best cruiserweight. Like, he has potential to be the physically best cruiserweight of all time. Like, the guy in the strongest and best high flyer at the same time, like, the best combination of the two. And to have him go against guy who's arguably the best of all time physically in the ring as a wrestler would be really interesting. Like, those guys are freaks. You are never going to see another Kurt Angle, and you are probably never going to see another Neville again. And, like, that's different than...
What are you talking about? Tony Nese is on TV every week.
It's funny because it's true. He's like a tinier version. I don't know how you fit. And I've seen him wrestle, Tony Nese, like, in a very small room. I don't know what they're doing with him, but it's not good. Like,
no, it's one of the, I mean, I'm really tired of making, like, Drew Gulak look inept because, dude, it's Drew Gulak. He's fucking great.
Yeah. And literally the first thing I ever said when I saw Tony Nese was I turned to my friend Andy and I said, why isn't this guy in the WWE? That is literally the first sentence I ever said about Tony Nese the first time I saw him. So, like, I think he belongs, but they have just...
Well, he'll soon forever be in the WWE when he becomes part of Neville's Bone Throne.
That sounds so dirty.
I know. And I'm going to keep saying it.
Yeah, since we both know who's going to win this match and then build a throne of bones, I refuse to call it a bone throne. I refuse.
You did. You just said bone throne.
Oh, you're a monster. I did scare quotes around bone throne. It doesn't count.
I didn't see it.
I have a video, and I can see you. Can you not see?
Do you think Baron Corbin has a bone throne?
Yeah, but not made of bones. Like,
No, dude, did you watch Breaking Ground when he went and collected, like, skulls and old bones and shit?
vaguely. I vaguely remember
Okay,
that.
because that's a thing that he does. Oh, he definitely has a bone throne.
Again, unequivocally has a bone throne. I don't know if the bone throne is made of bones or just a throne that, you know, he lone wolf's on. I don't know.
All right, let's move on before I keep talking about bone thrones.
Bone thrones. So Neville, obviously. I think equally easy to predict. Charlotte and Bayley. I think Charlotte has to win this. Otherwise, you don't have a storyline for the next 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, the story right now is Charlotte thinks Bayley is a smart piece of shit. And Bayley's like, nuh-uh. You know, my love of wrestling is why I'm here. Like, I am stronger because I love wrestling. And I like the story. I don't mean to boil it down in like a critical way, but like, I told you I like wrestling isn't as compelling a story for WrestleMania. You know, like, I already won. See? Liking wrestling is cool. Like, that's not a great build to Mania. It's Charlotte winning with some bullshit reason or another over Bayley at the Rumble, and then being like, see? Smart piece of shit. Fucking smart. Just over and over again until April. And then Bayley finally, you know, overcomes with the power of friendship and hugs. And also smartness, I guess.
Smart hugs.
Yeah. As long as we don't have any more, like, poetry off the top of her head in the ring, I think I can continue to love this feud.
You know, I like how you were like, it looked like you were fishing for something, and then you said the most specific awful thing possible, other than a Dolph Ziggler promo.
Well,
Charlotte, I have feelings about this. I'd like to, if I can, read you some poetry. My name is Dolph.
Dolph Ziggler slam poetry.
Hate. Pain.
Do you think he's ever done, like, open mic poetry and then tried to be like, I was ironic, I'm a comedian?
I'm just imagining his open mic time being like, I don't know if you watched How I Met Your Mother, but the episode where there's an episode where one of the characters has all of her friends go to community theater, and it's the most terrible thing ever put on television, intentionally so. But that's what I imagine is just consumerism and stuff like.
I really want to know if his stand-up comedy's good, but I also don't want to spend any time finding out. So
oh God, no!
It's a real dilemma.
Yeah, it's like I mean, you're taking one for science if you like. Yeah, that is.
Well, science is illegal now, so let's move on to the next match.
So yeah, Charlotte wins. Should be a good match. Probably going to be some chicanery. There's not much else to say. WrestleMania, we will spend a half an hour talking about this match.
Yes, the queen of pay-per-view, as she loses her pay-per-view title.
Yeah, there's just no reason for Charlotte to win. Charlotte to lose, rather. Bayley has no chance. I love her. No chance. I'll be wearing my I'm a Hugger shirt. I
hope Charlotte defeats Bayley and then takes spray paint and spray paints Smark on her back and then leaves the ring. I just really...
In yellow?
Yeah, just really add to it. Where it makes it clear where Charlotte's like, fucking Smark. My dad used to hate people like you.
Okay, so, which gives us the least predictable match of the night, I think.
More so than the Rumble?
Yeah, I think in other words, I think it's pretty much, like, I have absolutely no clue, and I don't think I could make a case for either of them in a way that with the Royal Rumble, there's like 2 or 3 guys who were like, well, Braun could win it and then do blank. Or, I don't know, Sami Zayn could do it and do blank. Like, there are people that they have established have a chance to win the match that you can make a strong argument for. Mm-hmm. I can't make a strong argument for Kevin Owens or Roman Reigns, other than the fact that now it's a no disqualification match. So I'm assuming like 51 or like 50.0001. I have Kevin Owens winning over Roman Reigns.
Well, Reigns stood tall on Monday, but we know that means nothing because Reigns has never lost any hit points in his entire life. The dude just shows no damage whatsoever, ever. And I don't know, it feels like the combination of that and moving to no DQ favors Owens because suddenly all the weapons Chris Jericho drops from the cage, which is the only reason you have a cage, is like they're all legal now.
Also,
so
the slam cage from Mattel is the other reason you have a Shrek cage.
Sorry, that's true. But yeah, like maybe this time when they drop a chain down or whatever, like Kevin Owens will actually, hit Roman Reigns with it instead of hitting a fan. But
I was about to say, instead of accidentally throwing away the ending of the match.
Yeah, throwing away the ending of the match and concussing a fan at the same time. Whoops. I mean, shit happens. I'm not.
Yeah.
It does.
I blame Paul Ellering, but...
Paul, why were your hands so sweaty in the cage?
Ew. He was like, ew, gross.
But all the shit Jericho drops down now, like, that can be used. So, and Kevin Owens is not above, especially in a no DQ match, using weapons to put down Roman Reigns. So,
here's a question: if you were to dump like water on him from the cage, would Roman Reigns notice or just absorb into the water that he has in his hair?
Oh, he'd become stronger. That's why he dunks his head. So you don't want to do that. Like, I'd love to see that happen to Seth Rollins during one of his really long matches because his hair gets so frizzy. Like 20 minutes into a match. So someone just dumps a gallon of water on his head after that, and it's like, oh no, Seth Rollins has been refreshed.
Yeah, it reminds me of in superhero television shows when they're fighting a battle against a villain, and they find out like the superpower they have is the thing that gives the supervillain life. And they're just like, oh my god, and they have to change up everything. That's what I would imagine the shots they would use if they were to do that. They were to make Roman Reigns wet, and he just turned into like super Roman Reigns and be like, oh no, we need a new gameplay.
His hair is glistening, and he's so strong.
Oh, and those eyes.
Oh,
those eyes.
Get lost in them. What color are they now?
Orange.
Oh man.
Aren't you glad I didn't say banana? Boom.
But anyway, yeah, I think Owens is going to win now, and I
do too.
I don't know why. It still feels like Reigns is going to eventually win that title, but I guess here's the interesting thing. If Reigns wins that title, who do you think someone challenges for the Universal title? Do you think they go, oh, fuck that, that's bulletproof. I don't want anything to do with that. Or, like, is there a better chance that someone challenges for the winner of the Rumble challenges for the Universal title if Owens retains?
Well, this may be a stupid question. Are you talking what a character... Because, in other words, I'm assuming whoever wins the Rumble in kayfabe is going to think they can beat whoever's the champion.
Yeah.
So, is your question if let's say someone were to win the Royal Rumble and then actually have a chance to choose which match they were going to main event, no one on earth would pick Roman Reigns?
Well, it's like when Sheamus chose Daniel Bryan for, 28?
Yeah.
Instead of whoever the WWE champion was. Was it Punk at the time?
I think it was,
Punk.
And he was in the middle of like a super long title reign.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, I'm not touching that. I'm going to kick this fucker in the face, though.
The tiny little baby person with a beard.
So yeah,
right in the face.
If Braun Strowman wins, he's not going to care. He's going to be like, point me in the direction of the next person I maul. But if you get the right person winning, they're like, the right person wins, and they're like, oh, Roman has a Universal title? Oh, fuck, I'd rather face Cena. Jesus.
Just they cut to him and he's doing the cut it out with the...
And, there's some people who might want to challenge to, take the belt from the other show to improve the stock of the show they're on. Because you can play the ratings war stuff up into that.
Which is the thing I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
That will actually become a thing that, they'll be able to manufacture at the same time, they'll be able to play with that. They'll get more meta. I like it when it's more meta. And yeah. I think that's what's interesting about this Royal Rumble match, which we'll get to in a couple minutes, is how, meta the conversations everyone is having about them. That, it's about, what are they going to do moving forward and how does this fit into all the puzzle pieces more than, well... It's not they're going to pick this person to win and how do they get them to a match with the guy who doesn't have the title or something like that. It's we have no clue who's going to hold the title, whether it's going to be the main event of WrestleMania or just another match in WrestleMania. There's so many different things that could change in one night. And And this match is the start of it, because this and the next match are like, you have this trilogy of matches, the two championship matches lead perfectly into the Royal Rumble match.
Yeah.
Because it opens up all of this intrigue at the beginning of the match. The stakes literally couldn't be higher unless it was a year where the title was up for grabs.
Since I have I've like come up with reasons for like 12 different dudes to win the Rumble, like full scenarios, reasons why, because I love thinking about that stuff. Even in years where it's obvious, like, oh, Batista's gonna win. Like, feeding into this how everything is a connected puzzle piece. I think the most fascinating thing you could do, and this feeds into the whole, like, Reigns or Owens winning as champion, is you have Samoa Joe debut, and you have Samoa Joe win the Rumble, and he has no allegiance to Raw or SmackDown. At first. So you've got both shows trying to recruit him, but instead of, like, the Heath Slater thing, where, like, he accidentally walks his way into a job, you've got people really trying to get Samoa Joe to come to their brand, to challenge for the other show's title, to like just to do something, some huge thing. Like Cena wins the title, and then it's like, think of how huge this moment would be for you, Samoa Joe. Like, biggest moment of your career, beating John Cena at WrestleMania in the main event, or Stephanie with like her evil promises of more evil might lure Samoa Joe away. But it'd be like a great way for them to bring in that the whole like meta game about the ratings. It's like, oh, Samoa Joe won the Rumble. Samoa Joe is amazing. We want him on our show.
And he's the one guy, even more so than Nakamura, that like is famous outside of the context of WWE at a level that pretty much every wrestling fan had heard of Samoa Joe before he joined the WWE. And he was such a big deal on NXT for so long that as long as you're a WWE fan at all, you've heard of Samoa Joe. So it's not this crazy and I think he's the first two-time NXT champion. No,
it's the first two-time, yeah, but now Knock is also a two-time.
Yeah, so he already has the credentials to be very famous. It's AJ Styles-esque, actually.
Yeah.
Except he also was in he was competing against WWE level talent.
Yeah, and the fact that he beat Finn, and Finn was already Universal Champion, and he's just got all that stuff to point to. Like, he is the one guy, not the one guy, because there are a lot of people you could have, not a lot of people, but you could have, Nakamura debut in the Rumble and win, but I don't think it'd be as effective as Joe. Joe's, the most effective person. You could just plop in and be like, this guy made his WWE debut in the Rumble match and won it, and then was in the main event at WrestleMania, and everyone would go, yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
In hindsight, they would go, yeah, of course, it's Samoa fucking Joe.
And, before we get too deep on this, the final match of the night, so we get who he might face, because we both think Owens is going to win. Is that fair?
He asked me tomorrow, my answer might be different, but it feels like Owens is going to win.
Yeah, like I said, for me it's 50.00001. I now think there's some inkling of the direction they'll go, more so than anything. Yeah, and I think we both have Kevin Owens, but ever so slightly. And like you said, tomorrow it could change. John Cena could tweet... Roman Reigns could tweet something. We'd be like, oh, maybe he's going to win.
Well, I just realized how much the no DQ can change things, because Seth Rollins isn't in the Rumble match. Seth might have to come out to help even the odds against Owens at some point, which means Triple H might show up, which means who the fuck knows what is going to happen, which probably increases the odds that Kevin Owens would win.
It's time to play the game. That's what's going to happen.
Okay, now I definitely think Owens is going to win. Now that it's Triple H doesn't even have to subvert any rules to make this happen. It's no DQ.
Yeah, I didn't think of the Triple H conundrum, as you will.
Man, if they've all been locked up in this main event for 2 months, and it doesn't result in a giant collaboration of the stories before they break off to do their separate things, what are you even doing?
They don't know. So. And like we said, the match of the night is AJ Styles versus John Cena for AJ Styles' biggest match yet in the WWE, and John Cena's 13th biggest match in the history in his career in the WWE.
Oh, man, I don't know. I just watched all of Cena's WWE Championship victories. So not retaining, but the individual 15 title runs, the start of them. There are some real great ones. There are some pretty good ones. There are some real crappy ones.
What's the real crappiest one?
Oh God, not the I Quit, the Falls Count Anywhere Iron Man match against Randy Orton, the 60-minute one that had 30 seconds to like recover in between falls, had 11 falls in it.
Jesus H. Christ.
Had 40 minutes in the middle where essentially nothing happened except Randy Orton not failing to light John Cena on fire with pyro.
So it wasn't good.
The first 10 minutes were really good. The last 10 minutes were really good. And then, like, we both love Randy Orton. But when they do that thing where he stands around menacingly and walks very slowly and, like, steps on your hands?
The Garvin Stomp.
Yeah, when he does that for 40 minutes, essentially, it's not great. It's really not good. So that was
awesome.
That was the worst one. The best one, I thought, was versus Edge, the TLC match that they did. That was really
where
great.
He AA'd him through, like, 6 tables. Is that one?
Yeah, it was 2 tables, I think.
6. It was 6.
Legend grows. And then he killed Andre the Giant days later.
With his bare hands. And the beer. Just a single beer.
But when you think of that, as much as I love that match, when you think of that, you think of how much better John Cena is these days.
Light years.
It's pretty easy to think that if he wins this and it's title number 16, this could be the very best championship win of John Cena's career. Like, there have been a lot of them, but that's how good AJ Styles is. That's how good John Cena is now. Especially when you think of all the other great matches Cena's had, and you realize, like, oh, his great matches aren't the ones where he wins usually. It's the ones where he loses. It's the ones where it's not necessarily about a title. It's the United States Championship run that he had, things like that. So adding a WWE Championship win to, like, in the modern era for him, in this current era, would be huge for his legacy. And against Styles, I mean, it just feels like it would be the best. And that's no disrespect to Edge, who, man, I love Edge so much, but when you look at the list of those and you think of the list of all the Cena matches you love, you're like, yeah, that's all you got on those? Okay. Because, like, losing to Daniel Bryan was so much better. Losing to Punk was so great. Both times losing to Punk. Beating Punk for the right to face The Rock at WrestleMania was exponentially better than the actual match against Rock at Mania.
Yes.
God, that was a shit show.
And it's funny, when you were saying that, it reminded me of that saying that Roddy Piper said to Hulk Hogan during their feud in WCW when he said, "Do you think they would have loved you so much if they hadn't hated me?" And that's John Cena on both sides of that like idea, because the LOL Cena wins or Cena wins we riot, Cena has allowed all of those great losses to be like his crowning achievements because we saw it. And at the same time, like, have his loss to Brock Lesnar be like this incredibly sympathetic and still awesome for Brock Lesnar thing where you're like, I can't believe he did that. But, like, good for John Cena for letting someone, like, in a meta sense, like letting someone destroy his soul for an hour. Or not an hour, like 20 minutes.
You know what I was thinking about too? Not to get too far off track here, but we had so much complaining about Roman Reigns being elevated, like, faster than people wanted. At the Money in the Bank match where John Cena won when people didn't want John Cena to win, the crowd was fully on board with Reigns. Like, they wanted Reigns to win. They were all cheering for Reigns. That was months before. So then you have Cena get eviscerated by Lesnar because they don't actually want Cena still in the main event scene. The only reason Cena was in that scene in the first place is because Daniel Bryan was hurt. Because it was supposedly going to be Daniel Bryan who, took that beating from Lesnar. But the title was vacated in the first place. So, were they really rushing Reigns? Or was this a situation where it's like, okay, you don't want Cena in the main event anymore. We agree that it's time to, like, find other places for him to be. Other feuds for him to have. Your hero is gone. Like, who do they go to next?
They don't... The people complain about Roman Reigns, and there are things to complain about Roman Reigns. The things that people complain about with Roman Reigns are just, like, dumb. Like, you can complain that his storylines aren't compelling. That's a legitimate complaint. But he's being shoved down our throats. He's one of the... For a WWE size guy, he is probably the second or third best main event worker they have. Like, that guy can go, and he can go for days, and he can go with pretty much anybody. that we don't like his storylines is important. I'm not discounting that. But that is, I think the things that he does are much better than people give it credit for. And I think that's the same case with John Cena. I think we just have a tendency to go, like, I hate you because you're not my favorite wrestler, but you're the main character on this television show. And it's like, lots of people on a lot of television shows, their favorite character isn't the main character on the show. Mm-hmm. Not every show is Parks and Rec and is going to have Leslie Knope be the main character. A lot of shows...
Leslie Knope is my favorite character on that show.
You're a terrible person.
What? Oh, come on. She's a little much sometimes.
She's a hero. Okay?
She is. I just might like Ben Wyatt more.
That is the only reasonable answer.
Yeah, I know. My answers are always reasonable.
Wrong, but it's reasonable. But yeah, but do you understand what I'm saying? Is that there's a tendency?
Oh no, I absolutely do.
Assume that my favorite character has to be the main character. And it's like, that's not how any television show works. This is a television show.
Yeah, I mean, I hate giving too much credit to Eric Bischoff, but he was tweeting earlier this week about, someone asked him like why Buff Bagwell wasn't in the main event scene in WCW, and he gave this explanation that was essentially like, you have a million parts in these shows, and you need to put the people in the parts that like work the best for you and for them, and not everybody can be the top star.
You can make anybody a top star. Not everybody is going to be as good a top star as other people who will be much easier to make top stars, is what happens.
So like
it's a lot easier. Sorry, continue.
So like Reigns wasn't ready to build on that. Yes, he wasn't exactly ready at that moment for what they wanted him to do. But Bryan was out. They had no idea when he was coming back. You all the same people complaining about Reigns are complaining about Cena. Who were dying for Cena to lose the title to Bryan, who were so happy that Cena got just mauled by Lesnar. So, like, who do you go to? Like, you've got Bray Wyatt, maybe, but he wasn't quite at that part where you're like, oh, turn him face. You can't go back to Orton. He's a bad guy, and also come the fuck on.
Yeah, and we are two of the biggest Randy Orton fans on Earth, and it's just like he's not at the point in his career anymore.
And I feel like Dean Ambrose...
You can only have so many quarterbacks on your bench. And there's only so many guys that can play quarterback.
And I feel like Dean Ambrose was so good at his, is the Miz-like role of being able to seamlessly move between the mid-card and the main event, that it made sense, let him do the summer thing when Rollins is champion and move on, the next year, And
I think that's an important thing for Dean Ambrose going forward, because I don't think, to bring it back to AJ Styles and John Cena, I don't think he has to be feuding for this title. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Looking at it now, I don't think he has to be feuding for this title, not just because he's the Intercontinental Champion, but I think he has reached a star level, which is rare. It's a Chris Jericho thing, where he is in and of himself main event at a level that makes all of his feuds eligible for main event spots.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that they kind of wish they had with Ziggler that they don't really anymore. It's the thing they have with Miz, and it's rare. You want those guys to be able to make everything around them feel important. They turned Cena into it a little bit, like a super version of it. Some would say Super Cena version.
Yeah, he is the main event of. He's an automatic main event of a major pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Storyline instantly just by existing in the same ring as you.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think Cena's going to win.
I think AJ Styles is going to win. That's disagreement.
Well, I think Cena's going to win, get 16. They'll make a big deal about it. He'll lose it at Elimination Chamber. And then possibly we get the rematch at Mania. Which leaves...
Against who?
Or not the rematch at Mania, but that leaves Styles off to face someone else possibly. And Cena going for the... Oh, man, I don't know what. Shit. Oh, there's so many moving parts.
Speaking of moving parts...
God, I actually don't know now who's going to win. This is great. You're right. Who the fuck knows who's going to win this match?
Yeah. And I think the three of them... I think it's one of those things, and we talked about this, I think, last pay-per-view, or maybe the pay-per-view before. This is a pay-per-view where the winners earlier in the night will explain what's going to happen later in the night without, you will be able to predict you won't be able to predict until you see the actual matches, like the two main event championship matches before the Rumble match. But the second you see those two, I think you'll have a much stronger idea of where they're going for the Royal Rumble match.
But you still won't know, which is great, because again, you could throw a wild card like Samoa Joe in. You could have the return of Finn Balor. Both of those things just completely change. And Balor's a guy who, now that we're shifting into the Rumble, Balor's a guy who he has a reason to face either Reigns or Owens.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter. The winner of that match doesn't even change the outcome for a guy like him because he's just out there wild card. He beat Kevin Owens for the NXT Championship, before he came to WWE. So he's got a built-in history and feud with that guy. He beat Roman Reigns to get the chance to be the first Universal Champion. So he's already shown he could beat him. And now Roman's sitting here with the belt he never really got to use. Like, that's a chance for a face-on-face, let the crowd pick who they like moment, which will be Finn.
Finn Balor.
But, that's great. It'll allow Reigns to have that harder edge, like, still be a face, but be a badass. So
I was
really
saying, boo, Roman.
So, like, a guy like Finn and a guy like Joe, it's amazing. Like you said, it's going to narrow down the field, but you've still got these wild cards, so you don't even know if they're going to be in the Rumble, and it's going to make the Rumble great and unpredictable, even when you're like, oh, I can narrow down the field.
Yeah, it goes from a mystery to a puzzle, but you still don't know who's going to finish the puzzle, is basically what happens. I'm just going to really quickly read through the list of the people that are announced.
Oh, God, no, there's 22 of them. Don't do that.
It'll take me, I practiced it. It'll take me a couple of seconds. Taker, Goldberg, Lesnar, Show, Ambrose, Miz, Sammy, Ziggler, X, and Kofi, Bray, Randy, and Luke, Harper, Mojo Rawley, Braun, Jericho, Baron Corbin, Cesaro, Sheamus, Cass, and Handsome Rusev.
Handsome Rusev. How mad would you be? And you can say, not mad at all. Or you can say, no, I'm not mad. Actually, I think this is funny, is the top. And then the bottom is, no, really, I'm not mad. Or no nude, no red. Where on that scale would you land? If New Day helped Kofi Kingston win, and then he challenged for the Universal title, and that was his match at WrestleMania.
Mark, I have some feelings about this idea.
No, don't.
I'm going to sing about them.
Don't use that voice.
New Day rocks. New Day rocks. I'm gyrating a lot right now. God. There's a lot of sexuality.
Okay, you're not using the scale.
Oh, I'd be nothing on earth would make me happier. Is that on the scale?
Yes.
I would feel like I had died and gone to the good place.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we will.
No, we just binged it all like Tuesday. So
no spoilers for the people listening. But
yeah, that's why I said we'll talk about it later. God. Anyway, yeah,
thumbs up.
That would be. It's one of those things where like you don't think of Kofi as being that guy. But think back to Money in the Bank 2014. Kofi climbed the ladder and almost like had his hand on the briefcase, and the place lost their minds when they realized, like, oh my God, they're actually going to let Kofi win a match that he's always cool in.
Yeah.
And the possibilities open up so much. So I wonder how people would take something like that in the Rumble where, I mean, Kofi's had major main event matches before in his past. He just doesn't have them now, but he did. He used to be in Money in the Bank matches. He was in Elimination Chamber matches. He worked
a really big program with Randy Orton that was really good, and none of us who watched it understand why he's not still in the main event.
Yeah, and like the dude's got the most cumulative tag team days of anyone in WWE history. He's won a bunch of Intercontinental Championships. He's won the United States Championship, I'm pretty sure. He's won different versions of the tag belts. Like, this dude has a whole bunch of titles. And if he won the Rumble with the popularity the New Day has, it feels like that would make sense. Like,
I agree.
Agree. Maybe it doesn't feel like it makes sense in the moment for everyone, but like when it happens, and then he's challenging like Kevin Owens, and then we've got Owens and Jericho facing off against the New Day all the time in the lead up. Like, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think if I genuinely believe, and we, like I said earlier, that this is going to be unpredictable, but I also believe that what Triple H said, which is you're not going to expect who's going to win. I think they say that a lot. This is the one year where I think they might just be like, we have Lesnar and Goldberg as the main event of WrestleMania. It's a huge money match.
Do whatever the fuck else you want.
Yeah, exactly. We have a really good center. We have an entire team. We can build the entire rest of the card around that huge match. And you have Taker. You there is a bunch of stuff going on in this match that you can mix and match and make it all of the stuff push towards different things at WrestleMania in a way that doesn't require the winner of this match to be the main event of WrestleMania, but will be a reward. Them winning will be a reward in and of themselves, and Kofi is perfect for that. I also like the idea of a Samoa Joe, where like winning the title becomes not the title. The Royal Rumble becomes the thing upon which that person can hang their hat going forward. Like, I don't know if Kofi's going to win the title at WrestleMania. I don't think he would. But I think having him win the Royal Rumble match and challenge for it at WrestleMania would be a really great storyline, like you said, for the next couple of months, in a way that would be totally worth it for them to do, especially considering that they already have important matches at WrestleMania set.
Well, especially because New Day, they don't have anything for New Day, which is why they've been fucking around with Titus.
Whoa.
They don't have anything for New Day, which is why they've been fucking around with Titus for a month. Come on.
Whoa.
True. It's true. It is a shame they don't have anything planned for them, but like that group, especially, I wouldn't expect them to split up if one of them is WWE Universal Champion. I would expect them all to be like, yo, the New Day is the Universal Champion, and for Kofi to not be weird and jealous about it, to be like, no, seriously, the New Day is the Universal Champion. And it would be a really cool, different thing to do. Where it's like, yeah, Kofi's the champion, and you're not going to do like Freebird rules with the title, but like let the group, the same way that Jericho and Owens say that they're joint champions, but like they're not assholes about it, and you're actually like, yeah, it's fine.
Looks like those kids are having fun. And then, of course,
I'd be down with it as long as it's universal, because I feel like
you can't do that to the WWE title. You can't do it.
Yeah, it's just because of the history, and if it was just Kofi on his own, it would be different.
Yeah, 100%. He is completely worthy of being a world WWE champion, but the New Day isn't.
Exactly.
Like, you can't. Yeah. The person who I actually think will win is Braun.
Yeah.
Because
go on.
I think they recognize, and not in the best way, what they have in him, and I think they kind of want to squeeze as much as they can out of that lemon before it like goes bad. Like I have a feeling they're going to be like, holy shit, they just see dollar signs every time they look at him, and they're just going to push those dollar signs straight to one of the main event matches at WrestleMania. Like I'm worried about that, but I could totally see them doing that with Braun right now, because he's hot, he's good, and he's big.
Yeah, I mean, I can see him winning, but I
want him to win next year. I think they could have him win that. I think he's improving every week in a very real way that you don't. He feels like Joel Embiid. Like, he gets better every time you see him. Has a new wrinkle to his game. In a way that like Baron Corbin doesn't, I think, have as high a ceiling, but he's already there. He's already much more like a full package. Because I don't think Baron has a chance, but I think he's going to look really good. And I think part of it's going to be him going against Braun. But I think Braun, in terms of who I think in percentage-wise, I think he has the highest chance. Let's say he has a 1 out of 5 chance. I think he has the highest, and you have a guys like at that level, maybe. Because the thing is like the people in the match, I don't think The Undertaker's going to win, and I don't think Brock Lesnar and Goldberg would win, so that knocks out your 3 biggest guys. So like it's between him and Dean Ambrose and stuff like that.
Well, I feel like Braun's going to lose so that him and Undertaker can face each other,
which would be awesome.
Because why else would Undertaker keep showing up on Raw when he's a SmackDown wrestler, unless he's going to wrestle somebody from Raw? Which also makes no goddamn sense, but whatever.
Well, he could be the interpromotional.
Yeah, it's just weird because he's going to show up on Raw to do all that stuff. Like, if the person he's going to wrestle also shows up on SmackDown after, like we had the Orton Lesnar stuff a little bit, that would be cool. But I will wait and see on that. I don't think Taker is going to win unless the plan is to have him face Cena at Mania, and then it's title versus career. What? No, that doesn't make sense. Cena would have both. I still don't think Taker's going to win, though.
I don't think Taker's going to win either. I think there's going to be some sort of thing that stops him from winning. And I think based on that and based on, it's either going to be Braun or a complete wild card, like a Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
I think that would be like the next person I would give like a 1 out of 6 chance. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a 16 to 20%, somewhere thereabouts. Not to get like too numbering, but to give you an idea of just like slightly less than Braun Strowman, but not a lot. I don't think anybody's a lock or anywhere near a lock. I think it's one of those things that could literally change right before they go out for the first guy goes out for the night.
I could see Cena winning the WWE World Championship against Styles, getting 16, successfully defending an Elimination Chamber, and then Miz has won the Rumble. And we get Miz Cena without The Rock's fucking trifling ass showing up to fuck things up and make it all about The Rock. Like redoing that when Miz is at the peak of his powers and Cena's at the peak of his powers, and man, that'd be a lot of fun. And again, we talk about if your main event is already set, you've got Lesnar Goldberg, you're going to do an Undertaker or something that will be special.
And you have Triple H versus Seth, so the top 3 matches basically set.
So you could absolutely do Miz versus Cena at that time and have Miz win. And then because it sets up your chance for Cena to go for 17, which is the record, which you make a huge deal about. It lets the Miz leave the Intercontinental scene. It lets you have a real different kind of heel on top of SmackDown. Like, there's just a lot there. And the
Miz deserves it more than that. In terms of that, he is the guy that feels like he deserves it the most in the way that, like, Shawn Michaels winning felt like he deserved it.
Yeah.
He's earned being a Royal Rumble winner in the context that he has a chance to win it, not just like a Sheamus or an Alberto Del Rio where you're kind of like, let's let them win it. Like, The Miz deserves to be one of the guys at the top of that list, and I should have thought of him. I mean, he's actually listed pretty high on the, like, here are the people that we're going to have in the match. So and he's doing the best work of his career, as far as I'm concerned.
He's the guy of the listed participants that I think has the best chance. But I'm still throwing my pick in with wildcard. I think it's going to be Joe or Finn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's a very good possibility. And then you think and it's so hard to predict who they're going to face at WrestleMania. I think that's something that should be our first prediction of the next show after the Royal Rumble. But I have no clue where they're going to face.
Settled, because we could go on all day and accidentally Steiner math all of this. So let's just wait until we see what happens, and when the dust settles, the smoke clears, the Miz is winner. We will figure out who's doing what.
Yeah, so I think it's Braun, Wildcard, or Miz, I think are the 3 best possibilities. Does that sound good to you, or do you have somebody higher than Braun?
They're your picks. I had my own picks. My own 3. So.
All right. Well,
they don't need to meet.
I'm right. It's fine. Braun! That's French for right. I don't know if you knew that.
It is not.
Oui. Very fluent. So we didn't want to spend too much time on the NXT card, but we did want to talk about the 4-way for the NXT women's title between Asuka, Billy Kay, Peyton Royce, and Nikki Cross. Mark?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say something else.
I think Asuka's going to win, so I'm not the best person to talk to.
Oh, okay. See, I feel like it's the best opportunity for someone who's not Asuka to win without Asuka getting pinned.
Oh, definitely. 100% that, but I still think Asuka's just going to kick all 3 of their heads off in one kick.
Regardless, I feel like Peyton Royce and Billy Kay are doomed. Like, they're not going to come out of this the winner. The 2 possibilities I see are Nikki Cross wins by pinning one of them, or Nikki Cross doesn't get pinned, Asuka pins one of them, and then we get our big Mania weekend takeover match, because Nikki Cross is like, you didn't pin me, you can't pin me. And that's maybe when we get an actual title transition, which with the speed they've been using Ember Moon makes maybe more sense for who will, the next face to hold the belt. Because Moon would be able to be the one to take it off Nikki Cross. I still don't know if Asuka's going to get up to the main roster at some point, what their overall plan is there. But man, Asuka showing up in one of the divisions would be pretty baller. But someone has to take the title off of her first, even if they don't take it directly off of her. This really feels like the best possible way to do it, though, where you kind of maintain Asuka's invulnerability.
If this were happening at WrestleMania weekend, I think I would feel differently. But since there's one more big NXT, well, there's the big NXT show, the next takeover at WrestleMania weekend, which isn't the biggest. The biggest one is always going to be Brooklyn every year. I'm assuming they're going to do NXT Brooklyn every year.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're going to Barclays.
Exactly. So I think this is it changes the calendar and the calibrations of the calendar slightly, but I think Asuka probably comes up after WrestleMania to SmackDown. That's where she makes the most sense, unless Bayley wins and then Murder Town comes to. She gets a one-way ticket to Murder Town, courtesy of Asuka's foot.
You don't have that kind of unstoppable... Like, Asuka's the smallest hoss on the planet. Well, no. Alexa Bliss. But...
She does chokeslam fools.
She also did the thing that only people who are 7 feet tall did, and she steps on the stomachs of her opponents, like she walks over them.
I love that so much.
It's so great because she's 5 feet tall, and she just steps on people like she weighs so much and is just 7 feet tall, and it's amazing. But yeah, Asuka to SmackDown feels like the thing to do because the division doesn't have that kind of, oh, how do you stop this unstoppable person? You know, because even if they get like Tamina, for instance, like she doesn't have that. That's not her pedigree. She's an enforcer, but like no one ever goes, oh my god, how do you stop Tamina? Everyone goes, how do you stop the giant strong woman from interfering in your match because she's best friends with a much smaller person?
How do we stop her from hurting herself? Is actually what they say during most Tamina. She's terrible. I'm sorry.
I like her in when they do like
good super kick though.
I like her when they do like triple threat matches because they do a really good job of spotlighting the things that she does very well.
Yes.
So that kind of stuff works. But yeah, that's the point. Is like they won't have that monster. And Asuka can work heel or face. You know, it doesn't matter.
She's one of the few transcendent people where she just needs to kick people in the face, and you kind of like how mean she is dictates like whether or not people are supposed to root for her, but she's so good that you're just going to have a certain segment of the crowd rooting for her.
It's an AJ Styles thing, you know?
Yes, exactly. It's a perfect example where they're just next level talented, so nothing you can do will really make them be booed by everyone. Because some people will just be like, no, they're fucking awesome. Why would I boo that?
But like with figuring out who's fighting who at Mania, I guess we'll wait for more Asuka stuff for after, because hey, she could retain, and then everything we said is dumb.
Yeah, and the rest of the matches on the NXT card look good, but there's nothing like that really sticks out to me.
I mean, Bobby Roode versus Nakamura could be interesting if Roode wins, because then you open up the door for like Ty Dillinger to maybe have a WrestleMania weekend where he wins the title, and that's significant because they haven't created their own babyface for some time. You know, like they didn't create, you know, Sami Zayn's ability to wrestle and all that, but Sami Zayn's really the last babyface that they produced. They've done so much with heels. And
I feel like Neville's really the last one they really produced completely where, like, I knew who Sami Zayn was. I'd seen El Generico wrestle. I'd never seen, I'm blanking on it. I'm blanking on both Neville's real name. Pac, okay, yeah. And both his Adrian Neville. I had to think for a second what his original first name was. And the tag team match, like, I could see DIY losing to the Authors of Pain. I'm fine either way. I like both teams. I
think it'll be great. It's not going to be a Revival Classic, I assume, because Authors of Pain aren't at that point yet. But also, guys who are going to powerbomb you and clothesline you to death don't need to be, you know, technical masters because, dude, they're doing two of my favorite things. Like, they're JBL, the tag team, and I am all about that.
And then, as you mentioned, Ty has a match against Eric Young through the Sanity storyline right now, which is cool.
Yeah, that's a perfect use for Sanity. Is like they have to stand for something, which is if you're gonna get, they can't just be chaos. So if they show up and they're like, "Hey, Ty, you want to hang out with us and like smoke cigarettes behind school?" And he's
we'll
like,
give you a cool jacket.
Yeah, he's like, "Nah, dude, drugs are for losers." And they're like, "What the fuck did you call me?" And like, at least you've got some motivation there. Besides, it's not some like Eater of Worlds rehash bullshit. It's just like these are the weirdos, and they've got cool jackets, and you made fun of their jackets, and they're gonna beat you up.
You may be I may be a chicken, but you're a turkey. That's what I think.
So
when I think of Eric Young handing him the jacket, I'm just being like, no, man, I don't love America the way you do. And the match, sure, he's a lovely man. Holy crap, do I hate Roderick Strong and his stupid ass chops.
You know, I haven't seen a Roddy Strong match yet in NXT. I've somehow, because I've missed a few episodes, and every one I miss happens to be one where he wrestles. And so I people have such strong feelings about Roderick Strong. I didn't mean to say that. But people have such like intense feelings for him, like one way or another. And so I'm still sitting here with no opinion whatsoever. And I'm like, oh, you guys all have thoughts.
Yeah,
you all have thoughts about Roderick Strong.
I don't hate him. I've seen him a lot. He's one of the guys I saw at basically every indie match I went to when I used to go to indie matches all the time in college. So like 8 years ago or so. Like I saw him 1,000 times and I just got really tired of the like, wow, he chops really hard thing that he has going. I don't think he's a bad wrestler at all. It's just he's the epitome and in a way that's kind of problematic of like an indie wrestling mid-card talent, where it's a lot of like chops and a lot of stiffness and a lot of like suplexes and stuff, and it's cool, but they're a dime a dozen at this point, so he just is nothing for me. I hope Cien Almas just obliterates. He's not going to, but I hope he beats his ass.
He might, so that we can continue the Oni Lorcan Cien Almas feud, which the crowd was actually pretty into.
I'm down with that. I like Cien Almas. I think he's less cornball than he used to be, which is good.
Well, he lost the suspenders, so you know.
Can you ever really lose those suspenders?
Oh, you can lose them. They're gone.
You can not wear them anymore, but they're always going to be the outline of them and like ingrained in my eyes every time I see him.
I just want Oni Lorcan on a takeover, and for that whole push to start, because people are really getting into him because they're like, oh my god, he hits really hard and is aggressive and has this weird magnetism even though he doesn't say words. And
totally good name. Because I remember, actually, the reason I said that is because I remember when it first started, people just being like, that name's terrible. And I'm like, it's totally fine.
Yeah. It's not weird. I mean, come on. Biff Busick is a better name. Yes, but that's because Biff Busick is also the most wrestling name.
Yeah, like it's not like his name was like Terry Funk, and you were like, listen, or Joe Henning, and you were like, how about Curtis Axel?
I'm not mad about it in the way like I am about Naomi, where it's like, your name is Trinity.
Yeah.
Why did you change your name?
To a more, like, generic name. All right. I think, unless you want to keep talking about Cien Almas.
No, I think we can wrap it up. And then, continue this next week after we have an idea of what the hell's going on.
Yeah. I'm actually excited about this pay-per-view. I hope you are too. Mark, you guys did a bunch of stuff, or doing a bunch of stuff on Cage Side Seats for the Royal Rumble?
Both of those things. I have a feature already up on John Cena's 15 title matches. I ranked them, because that's what you do when you watch a bunch of stuff, and then you rank it, and you hope that you do it before a competing website does it. And thankfully, I did it first.
Hashtag content.
Suck on that, haters. The other thing I did was surprise entrance.
Making moves.
I wrote at length about why I think Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, and possibly even Kenny Omega, granted tiny chance, but I needed a fourth to pad out the article, could win the Rumble as a surprise entrant. Later this week at SBNation.com/wrestling, we have a feature coming on NXT, revolutionizing tag team wrestling. And we have a look at the unpredictability of the Royal Rumble coming up on Friday. I will be previewing and recapping it at SBNation.com/wrestling. And we'll also be covering Cage Side, just, constant live coverage and, stuff leading up into it. And, I should have a feature this week at Cage Side as well on, what the winner should do, which will be to try and sort out this whole, okay, you've won the Royal Rumble. You are on this show. What are your options?
You should do a game like they did on The Ringer with tanking. I don't know if you saw that. I tanked 17 times in a row, and I died every single time.
I didn't see that.
Very sad. Yeah, died. They shoot you. It's very sad. Yeah. No, but you can draft a weed carrier, and if you draft the weed carrier, you get fired every single time.
What the fuck is happening? I don't know what Nick's talking about.
The Ringer. They did a.
I understood the words you used. It's just the order they were in. None of it did anything for me.
The Ringer. It's a website. By Bill Simmons.
Yeah,
I've written for it.
I know. I understand what the Ringer is. It was everything after that. You lost me on
basketball.
Okay.
Where do they find you on the internet, Mark?
I do love basketball. That's not where you find me, though. Marc_Normandin on Twitter. That's Mark with a C. And I already mentioned CagesideSeats.com and SBNation.com/wrestling. I am going on paternity leave next week, but I'll still be doing the podcast. I'll still be doing Rude Awakening in the morning at Cageside Seats. And I'll still be helping out on the video side over there as well. I'm just... all of my like daily throughout the day activities are going to be baby centric with no expectation of help from me. So that's cool because the baby no longer sleeps for 20 hours a day.
Boo.
Well, that would be really annoying if it kept happening like that. Like they're 12 years old, sleeping 20 hours a day. The rest of the time they're just eating and not talking to me because they hate me.
And pooping just constantly.
Well, yeah, we're still at the stage where it doesn't smell. So that's...
Oh, thank God. I think that's a government conspiracy, but that's, between you and your God.
Yeah.
You can catch me at the Nickster. That is THEN1CKSTER.
Nailed it.
I've literally never gotten that wrong, so I'm very proud of that.
That's not true.
It's true, Mark.
No, we have it on audio.
Period.
We have it on audio somewhere.
Period.
You screwing it up and having to reset your streak, which was inflated Goldberg style in the first place.
Listen, I know the reports I've seen, and I have a belief. God bless America.
If you say alternative facts before this podcast ends, I'm going to throw my laptop into a river.
You do have a lot of rivers in Maine, so that's a real threat, people.
It is. There's literally one right by me. I can see the ocean it leads into.
30 feet as the crow flies is an official measurement in Maine. You can catch us on soundcloud.com/Rudo Radio. That's RUDORADIO. And you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. A review this week... something about Over the Top. That's really all I have.
Something about Over the Top rope. That's the review.
Yes, something about Over the Top rope.
Put it in brackets.
Ship it.
Yeah, put it in brackets. Bracket, open bracket. Something about Over the Top rope, close bracket.
Thank you. And I guess if there's nothing left to say, the only left to...
Bone Throne.